So, if you don't know who I am, my name's Nico. I'm a freelance director, videographer, DOP. I've been making videos for over 10 years now. Social media guy, used to edit, used to run a small social media production company, but stopped doing that because it was not extremely fun for me at some point. So I have experience in making videos, mostly in advertisement. This year I pivoted to cars. It's fun and doing wonderful for me. I'm sharing all of this stuff because I just wish I had someone who would share this stuff with me when I was starting out. It's pretty selfish, this YouTube project, but it's essentially to just externalize the process of what I'm doing, from the shoots that I go on to, my thought, things that help me from other mentors and people along my journey. If you wondered why I'm squatting also in a bush, it's because I'd rather be here than in an office or in my office at home. Standing too far back, you don't see my face, and it's kind of useful to see my face, or else I'm just some distant shadow. So, in this video, something I wish I'd done right at the start of my journey was lay out my numbers super clear. Problem is at the start of my journey, I didn't even know what to price or how I should break down my pricing. I'm gonna go from an extremely practical point of view and just say that you want to earn 100,000 euros in your year. Let's say that's your goal. To reach 100,000 euros in this kind of market, you have to be pretty okay at making videos. That's the first thing. You have to have a few skills, in my opinion. Now, I don't just shoot videos. I also do a bit of editing on the side. I direct, and that's about it now these days. I don't produce, but before I would do a bit of production, a bit of editing, shooting, and that is how I would make up my 100,000 euro year. But after doing this now, 100,000 euros for the past 3 years, I have now sort of pivoted each year more and more to doing less of the things I don't like. I'm very fortunate to say that I can do that. So I'm just directing and shooting most of the time these days. Some editing projects, I had 2 editing projects this last year, or 3, and the rest was just shooting. So I would start by taking 100K and dividing it by 10. Not 12. 12 months of the year, but we're going to divide it by 10 because let's say you want 4 weeks of holiday and then the other 4 weeks you're ill or you're doing other shit that life just throws at you. 100,000 divided by 10 equals 10,000. I need to calculate my minimum monthly expenses to get by. And if you do this, that's including your rent, that's including your health insurance. If you pay health insurance, that's including your food, your internet subscription because you kind of need to work, and your mobile subscription because you need to work, but not including things like Netflix, all the other extra stuff. I would take that number, multiply it by 6, 9, or 12. The number 6 is being the months, 9 months, 12 months, and that is your buffer goal. That is the first goal I would try and hit if I was going freelance or trying to hit 100K right now. Because when you hit that buffer, and that's a buffer that you don't touch, that's like safety net. When you have that in the back of your mind, that allows you to negotiate super hard on your offers and the projects that you get. It allows you to push for the price that you want to hit that 100K goal. So that's kind of the first step in all of this. Calculate your minimum expenses, multiply it by 6, 9, depending on how much risk you can take. And that's the goal that you should try and hit first. If you're not even doing this full time, if you're doing this as a part-time job and you're working on another job, save through that other job to put that money aside. I think I saved 15K at one point and just felt so good for doing that. And that's when I went on to hit my first 6-figure year. So realistically, from experience, you're going to try and aim for 2 projects at 5K or 3 projects a month at 3K. Because if you're trying to hit 10 projects at 1K a month, firstly, I can't remember the last time I shot 10 projects in 1 month. And secondly, you're probably working with very low paying clients and we don't want to work with them. Or we're doing like an agency type model and our margins are slim. So that's an absolute headache when it comes to admin. So I would try and stray away from that if you want a happy freelancing life. I can say this from experience. For a 5K project, you might be charging 1.5K for a shoot day. Your travel day might be 500 and your editing day might also be 500 a day. And you would have to find somehow to make 5K in that project through those rates. And the reason why it's good to get super clear with these numbers and write them down is because it allows you to push for your day rate and it allows you to negotiate harder and it allows you to know that, hey, if I want to make 10K this month, I better get to 5K on this project somehow, whether that's you adding more value, whether that's you increasing your prices, whether that's you selling more deliverables, whether that's you working and trying to position yourself to work with better agencies and better clients who will actually pay you that. That is why it's very, very important to push and have a number that feels a little uncomfortable. Obviously, I'm standing up because I'm getting old. Obviously, there's nuances to this. You can't just pull out 5K out of your ass and just say, hey, 5K for this, and not break it down to the client or to the agency. And you can't probably take that to like a yoga instructor and say, hey, give me 5K a day out of nowhere and not justify it. But I'm not going to get into that so much now. This video is more about just sharing how important it is to get super logical and super clear on your numbers, because we're creative people. We can often be like, oh, I want, to earn this kind of amount, but we're not willing to just break it down step by step. And so the next step to all of this is, what is your minimum level of engagement, your MLE? Setting your minimum level of engagement is a balance between experience and making yourself feel a little uncomfortable, and also the market rate. So in Germany, where I've been working, I just moved back to the UK, but in Germany for the past 5 years, the kind of average videographer rate is like around $1,000 a day for shooting. That's like, you're doing sort of an event shoot for a brand. Now you have to figure out your minimum level of engagement. And so the minimum level of engagement is, what is the minimum amount of money that you're going to take on this project? And so if you're aiming for 10K a month, aiming for around 2.5K is probably a good bet, because that would mean you'd have to shoot, if your shoot day was 1.5K, you'd shoot one day and then you'd have to make up somehow one more K on top of that for edits, so a 2-day edit, if you're charging 500 euros a day for an edit. And then you'd have to shoot 4 of those a month. And that's what I did about 3 years ago when I hit my first 6-figure year. And that's important because whenever we get a request in now, firstly, it's going to let you push for a better price. So this is going to psychologically first stretch you. You're going to feel a little uncomfortable. You might not believe you're the kind of person who deserves to charge and have 2.5K a day, but you'll probably go, how can I again add more value to create a project that's 2.5K? How can I increase my skills and get better? Or how can I meet the right person to give me a project that's worth 2.5K a day? It's going to make you problem solve. In the back of your mind, you're going to be thinking, well, I can't work with that bakery or coffee shop anymore. And the reason why this is important is because it allows us to start marketing our work better. It allows us to position ourselves in the market better through our content. Again, these are other topics of how we get there. I can explain in another video. But in the back of your mind, you have now a very clear number. And what it will allow you to do is, each time you get a request in, or at least what it allowed me to do, was I would say, holy fuck, this person only has a budget of 1K a day to shoot. I know that I need to hit 2.5K per project to make this work. Then I better push for my 1.5K a day shoot day rate and my 500 a day edit day rate if I'm going to do an edit that's 2 days long or 3 days of editing. Oftentimes the project would end up being more than 2 days of editing, so I would earn more than 2.5K. Each day, just write it down. Like, my minimum level engagement is 2.5K a day, or 5K a day, or whatever it is, and depending on your goal, to help you believe that you're the kind of person who deserves to ask for that number. Because I know a lot of this is to do with belief, and a lot of this is to do with confidence and experience, or lack of experience, which makes you feel insecure around asking for a number. But I can honestly assure you that by pushing for that number that makes you feel a little uncomfortable, maybe your goal's not 100K a year, maybe your goal's 50K a year, pushing for 1K a day instead, you're charging maybe 650 right now. This is what I just did with Marcus, my first sort of mentee, like person I took on this last year. He was charging 650 at the start of this year, and we pushed for him to charge now 1K, but we increased it from 650 to 850 last year. He hit 70K. His goal was to hit 60K to like equal his tech salary, and he smashed it this year on his first year of freelancing. And having those numbers just gave him the ability and the confidence and to just push. Anyways, strive for more, push for more there. Knowing your numbers is extremely helpful. Write your numbers down. If I'm to summarize this, write your numbers down. Get it very clear for what you want to charge in the next year. Don't be afraid to ask for more. That makes you feel a little bit more uncomfortable, and just stick to it. When one door closes, another one opens. So if an opportunity doesn't happen because they don't have the budget, then it's easy to say don't worry, because freelancing is super a psychological brain fuck sometimes. But if you have that buffer, you have a lot more leverage, you have negotiation power. You can afford to say no. If you don't have the buffer, create the buffer. Do whatever you can. Eat pot noodles. I used to look for the price tag on everything that I bought in the supermarket until I had built a large enough buffer. And that buffer can just allow you to ask for those numbers and feel confident to be like, hey, if I don't get this job, who gives a fuck? Anyways, know your numbers. That's my little insight for today. Ciao.